Hello, my friends. Whoopsie. Oop, hold on. Oh, we're good. Yes, release the Epstein files. It's disturbing that we have a political party that's protecting a pedophile and a rapist in the White House. Pretty deplorable. The party of family values protecting a pedophile. Wow. Praise Jesus. But somehow, being a Democrat's just a bridge too far. Oh, man. Yes, an adjudicated rapist and a war criminal who's murdered thousands of innocent people met today. Wow, what a great day. You know what's sad? 85% of Gaza has been destroyed. 85%. Where are these people supposed to live? Why are we celebrating what Israel? They've murdered an entire country. They left them a 15% of whatever's left. What are we celebrating? What? That the 100% didn't get blown up? I don't understand what we're celebrating. Yeah, it's disgusting. It's just, it's mind-boggling. No, Eli, you're not wrong, but two things can be true. What Hamas did 2 years ago was bad, but you don't murder almost 70,000 people, innocent, the majority of them, to get a couple hundred bad guys. You don't bomb a hospital because one member of Hamas. I mean, if that's the case, wouldn't you call U.S. citizens domestic terrorists because of January 6th? Because a couple thousand people stormed the Capitol? Do you just... I mean, that's what I don't understand. I don't know how you justify murdering people for almost 2 years because of a group of people that were bad. That's the problem. Hey, Hellhound. Hey, Sarge. There's a bigger issue, and I'm working on something, and I haven't got all the facts yet. They need to check for wind. I don't know what you're saying there in the Gaza. Hold on. I'm working on I was going to talk about the farmers and their handouts, but I want to talk about AIPAC because that's the thing that really gets me about this whole thing. So AIPAC, since we started working with Israel, we have given them, the U.S., $350 billion over the course of decades. Now, here's the problem. Last year, we sent about $18 billion. This year, another $19 billion. Now, there's a organization called AIPAC, which is basically Israel billionaires giving donations to Republicans and Democrats. Biden got 4.2 million, Hillary 2.3, Mitch McConnell 1.9, Ted Cruz 1.8, and on and on and on. Haley. Now, why does that matter? When you look at the politicians in the United States of America that have received money from AIPAC, they almost never speak out against the ethnic cleansing. Candace Owens called it a Holocaust. You could make that argument. That's going on. Nothing to see here. Why? Because they know if they say something, then Israel is not going to give them money for their political campaigns. The politicians that don't take money, that speak out, they don't get money from AIPAC. That's why, Mario. Because the Democrats are getting money. Chuck Schumer, 1.7 million. Harris, 2.3. Hillary Clinton, 2.3. Ted Cruz, 1.8. McConnell, 1.9. Hakeem Jeffries is about 900,000. Adam Schiff is somewhere under 2 million. Alex Badias, somewhere under 200,000. Swalwell's about 180,000. They're all getting paid. They're having state delegates, not federal, state, like from New Jersey, Vermont, New Hampshire. They're going over there to Israel, not to Gaza, where they're murdering people, to Israel. So they pay money to politicians. Politicians say, yeah, we're going to give you money. And then what happens? We send funding to Israel and we send them a lot of arms. Example, Boeing. They provide the F-15 jets and Apache helicopters that were used in Gaza. Honeywell. They provide Boeing the JDAM kits. Caterpillar, the D9 armored bulldozers. AeroVironment, drones used by the Israeli Air Forces. And then you have Amazon, the cloud infrastructure for Israel's military. Now, why is that important? Now, this is just a handful. There's a lot more. Boeing lobbied last year $11.93 million and they donated $5.82 million. Honeywell lobbied $10.35 million, donated $5.78 million. Amazon lobbied $19.14. So what happens? It's business. We employ about 20,000 jobs in this country that funded a genocide in Gaza. And we do this on a regular basis. AIPAC funds politicians. Politicians say, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We give billions of dollars to Israel, and that creates jobs. So we can provide weapons to Gaza. And these companies, Caterpillar, Amazon, Honeywell, Boeing, this is just a small percentage of it. What do you think they do? They gave millions of dollars to politicians for giving them contracts. They're all profiting off of it. All of them. It's a Ponzi scheme. They're profiting off of genocide. They are. There are 20,000 defense industry jobs across 1,000 companies in 48 states. Roughly $3.8 billion per year guaranteed. It's in our laws. This is why they don't speak out against what's happening in Gaza, because they don't give them money for their political campaigns. That's exactly why. They're all getting paid. Goes from AIPAC to politicians. The politicians pass bills that benefits the people that gave them money. And those bills fund 20,000 jobs. About 1,000 companies benefit from it. Obviously, more than others. And then those companies that benefit from these, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, they give money back to the politicians. The military, the defense, has $1 trillion budget, a $1 trillion budget out of $4 trillion. $4.3 trillion is their budget, more or less. About 23% of it. They haven't submitted a balanced budget in 7 damn years. You think those things go out to bid? $10,000 toilets? $8,000 hammer? You don't think those people donate? You don't think they want to be audited? Of course they don't. Yeah, it's gross. Eli asked a question earlier. Sorry. Yeah, Israel knew what was coming. They just wanted a reason to murder the Palestinians. Let's just be real. I hope that one day Netanyahu is buried under a prison and let to rot there. And he can spend eternity in hell with Jeffrey Epstein. What he did to that country is unforgivable. He's an evil human being. This isn't complicated. Every politician should say that. But they're getting money lying from their pockets, being flown over there, wined and dined and treated good. So they're shutting their mouth because they would rather stay in political power than give a crap about dead women and children that are being bombed in hospitals. They're disgusting. The halftime show. No, this is what I heard. Now I don't know if this is true in the halftime show. This is the lineup, but I cannot confirm this yet. But it looks like a banner. It's supposed to be Kid Rock, Ted Nugent, Travis Tritt, Jason Aldean, Aaron Lewis, John Rich, Lee Greenwood, for Gigato below. That's the dumbass with the tattoos on his face. A special guest by Measles. I don't know if it's actual measles or what. Look, they don't want Bad Bunny because they want a white person. That's what this is about. That's what I talk about in a lot of my videos. They want a white Christian nationalist, a white supremacist, which is what they got in the White House, which is what Caroline Levitt is, which is what JFK Wormbrains is, which is what Pete Hegseth is. Stephen Miller is basically a Nazi. That's what they want. They want white America and English. That's it. And that's what we're dealing with. And I say, and I've said this again and again and again. Until we deal with this, nothing is going to matter. I posted a video yesterday. Gavin Newsom was asked a question by a podcaster. Do you think that America is a racist country? Well, that's a very complicated. No, it's not. It's not complicated, dumbass. Yes, we're a racist country. Yes, we were founded on slavery and genocide, and any person that's not white has been treated less than. This is the problem. Our own politicians don't want to talk about why we're here. That's what it was about Bad Bunny. They're so stupid, they don't realize that Bad Bunny is a U.S. citizen. He's born in Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico. They're citizens. They pay taxes. His base is stupid. They're just dumb. They have concepts of brains. It's a shame. It's truly sad how dumb his base is. I mean, I knew we had some dumb people. I didn't realize it was like generational. Maybe it's genetic. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe they're putting on orange makeup and it's seeping into the brain cells. I really don't understand, but their level of stupidity is off the charts. But they go back to being the white victim. They need to be the center of attention for everything. Yes, Bad Bunny is more of a citizen than Melania, than Donald, than Wormbrains, that RFK that was cheating on his wife. Pete Hegseth, who's a nationalist who had a daughter out of wedlock because he couldn't keep a schlong in his pants, cheated on every wife, pulled off stage being drunk. But it's about whiteness. That's all this is. And I'm going to keep saying it until hopefully people start to listen. I hope one day I get to go on to Rachel Maddow and talk about this because it has to be my demographic. What are they going to do? Are they going to have ICE agents in there? Is that what they're going to do? They're just going to go up and down the stands? Is that really where we are? I mean, it's for what? What's the purpose? What? People are gardening and then they're going to leave and say, hey, I spent $7,000 on a ticket from gardening? Or they're out there picking our vegetables. They have $7,000 to buy a ticket? It's stupid. It's fear-mongering. That's all this is. But who's going to stop him if it's illegal? That's the whole point. Who, Pam Bondi? Kash Patel? I mean, nobody's going to stop him. The Supreme Court is a political branch of the executive branch right now. They're bought and paid for. They're absolutely rotten to the core, except for 3 justices. They're all paid for. They gave him unfettered power. They're not a serious organization anymore. They're a political branch of the executive branch. Who are your least favorite members of the administration? Stephen Miller is probably the most dangerous. He's a Nazi. I have no problem saying that. There are people that are just make bad choices, that are uneducated. There's just bad, evil people, and Stephen Miller is a bad, evil human being. He is not good. J.D. Vance knows better, but he's a bootlicker. Caroline Levitt is one of the fakest Christians you'll ever see, and so is Pam Bondi. But probably Stephen Miller is my least favorite. He's one of the worst. Yeah, Joe Biden. Listen, I liked him. The problem is I didn't want a nice president. We needed somebody that was going to fight. He should have expanded the Supreme Court, but he wanted to play by the rules and be nice. He should have fired Merrick Garland. That was one of the worst things I will never forgive Joe Biden for. He should have fired him. Thank you, Savage. Greg Abbott. Hot Wheels? I don't care. He's Hot Wheels. He can pick himself up by the bootstraps. I don't really care what he has to say about it. That man voted for a rapist president. He can screw off with this Hot Wheels comment. He can shove his feelings right up his where he puts his cross on his backside. I think Greg Abbott is just a white. A lot of these people, he's not like Stephen Miller, but he just feeds into the uneducated white base. That's all it is. It's fear mongering. Mr. Potato Head, Dr. Seuss, Colin Kaepernick, Green M&Ms. Now they won't put the name of a racist podcaster. They need to be the center of attention. You ever see a little kid at Chili's and they're crying and boogers are coming out of their nose? Those are MAGA, especially the white women. They've never had a day in their life where they were treated less than. And what they do is that they cry and moan and groan because they wouldn't put the name of a racist podcaster on a coffee cup. What happens when children are shot in schools? They go to lunch. January 6th, nothing to see here. Officer Sitnick, nope, nothing to see here. Amber Thurman losing her life because of healthcare, nothing to see here. But a racist podcaster, all of a sudden Jesus is coming. It's a resurrection, the second coming. It's absolutely ridiculous. They're absolutely unserious people. MJ's better than LeVon. Ellen DeGeneres. Yeah, I didn't know why she left. I didn't know. But based on what I'm seeing and the way that her and Rosie are treated, I don't disagree with them. I mean, when you have the president going after you, threatening about taking away your citizenship, I mean, this is fascism. And that's why the rapist in chief is saying about Antifa and Saturday and how they hate Americans. No, fuck you, Mike Johnson, you white supremacist. This is because we love America because you're a fascist. And he knows that he's protecting a pedophile. And he's criticizing this country because we want to peacefully protest. Have you seen the protests? They're dancing in. Hold on. Where are they here? Here, I'll show you what they're doing. Look, I made this video. Look. That's a squirrel dancing. About to go down. It's about to go down. And we got the guy from South Park. Reign of terror in Portland once and for all. A squirrel, a unicorn, a shark. And you see fires all over the place. Yeah, looks like a real hellscape, doesn't it? But his base is so stupid that they believe it. Do you think this is Trump unaliving? I don't know. It's a video. I put together a collage of protesters in Portland and Chicago. I'm going to make a video in the next week about it. Paul, do you have your sign plan for the 18th? If so, oh, that's a good question, Jan. I haven't decided yet. I'm thinking of saying that real men don't vote for rapists. That's what I'm thinking, but I'm not sure. My only concern is I don't want to offend anybody that might be a survivor. I want to be sensitive of their feelings, but that's what he is. So there was another one. I saw one in Las Vegas that was that was a great sign, and I forgot what it was. It was something like it was a Latino sign. It was pretty funny. Like if you deport my mom or something, and you can go to hell. It was something really cool. I haven't decided yet. My criticism for Democrats is not holding accountable to Porky and his first administration. He separated families. Yeah, I don't like. I had this conversation with a good friend of mine today. He thinks I'm being too hard on Democrats. I understand what he's saying. I am of the opinion that I'm tired of being the voting for lesser two evils. I do not believe that we live in a true democracy when your choices are really, really bad or just really bad. Because that's what this is. Both political parties don't care. I mean, Gavin Newsom can't even say that racism is why we're here. They're bad. It's awful. It's amazing that MAGA thinks that the California is garbage and red. Listen. There's a word called Schadenfreude. It's a German word, which means that people love the suffering of others. Okay. MAGA's lives are crap. Not financially. They're unhappy people. They're told their whole lives that everything bad in their life is because of a lib. The libtards, the radical left, George Soros, that you're the victim. And when they see a state like California that has almost 11% of the entire country living here, the fourth largest economy in the world, oh my gosh, it's on fire. It's a dystopian hellscape because they get stuck on culture wars. They need to be the victim. Most red states are highest in gun violence, highest in crime, highest in maternal women that are pregnant, dying because they don't give them the health care they need. Lowest in education, lowest in wages. They live in a lot of shithole countries. They live in really bad states. And the blue states like New York, New Jersey, California give the most money. But then they complain about socialism when they're the biggest recipients. What if the blue states just stop giving them money? Hey, you're right. Don't take money from the radical left states. Do it yourself. They don't like people that are successful. That's why they always crap on celebrities. They're the elites. Why? Because they're successful? Because they pick themselves up by the bootstraps? They keep voting for the same idiots in Congress and Senate and presidencies, and all they do is fight culture wars. Look at the immigration issue. Look at it. Okay, let's say that every undocumented immigrant who were better than MAGA, who were more patriotic than MAGA, who were more American than MAGA because they love this country. Then what? Then what? Did your wages go up? Is your cost of living lower? Can you afford health care? No, no, no. But I felt good about demonizing brown people. That's all this is. They don't know how to think. They're pawns. They are pawns. They're not very bright. Yes, soybeans was my thumbnail, if I'm not mistaken. It was good for 1 year after Obama, the soybeans. And then they went from like 12 and a half, 13 billion a year down to about 3.5. Why? Because of the donkeys trade war. Because he needed to be an alpha male for his concepts of brain, white, racist base. His fake Christians. Oh, he's a real man. He's fighting China. Ooh, he's masculine. He's a dumbass. So what happened? We bailed him out with socialism. Then what happened? Joe Biden brought it back. I think 2022 or 23 was the highest it's been. I sick to death. Then what happened? This dumbass got in presidency and put a 500 billion trillion % tariff, some dumb stupid thing, right? So what he did was Argentina and Brazil, after the first bailout, said, here's an opportunity to take the market away from America. So they improved their infrastructure. They brought their taxes down. They made special exemptions, and they made it more cost effective for China to buy from us. That allows China to say, hey, we're going to be the world power now. And that's exactly what they've done. They've crapped all over us at this orange guy's expense that they're laughing all the way to the bank while we're falling down second, third, fourth, fifth in the country. That's what's happened. And at the same time, the farmers can't not just sell their soybeans. Now they're paying more money for goods coming in. Their tractor parts, their potash from Canada. Now they're not profitable. Oh, we haven't even sold one soybean to China since, which is half the market, by the way. China is half of the farmer's market. Oh, now we're going to pay all this money for tariffs. You and I and farmers are paying extra on all the goods coming in. And what did the dumbass of the White House say? Oh, well, John Smith was walking around and he said, "Oh, Mr. President, look what I found under a post-it note. I found $400 billion in tariff money. Oh, look. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? He just found it lying around. Who knew about it?" Like they just found 400, like he's an idiot. He's a total idiot. And now they're going to take that money that you and I paid and just bail out the farmers again. The farmers that bitch and whine about socialism for a second time. And they're going to vote. They would vote for his dumbass again because they're stupid. They are dumb. Just because they want to hate the political party that they're told is responsible for everything bad in their lives. And they keep voting against their own best interests because of abortion. Oh, no, not abortion. Ooh, a man shall not lie with another man's wife. No, it was 20 billion to Argentina, not 20 million. America first, right? We've spent almost 20 billion to Israel. We're spending 20 billion to Argentina, 300 million to revamp the White House. Yeah, it's 20 billion with a B. Yeah, it's ridiculous. 20 million to the Super Bowl, 5 million to UFC, and he spent 30 to 40 million golfing. But America first. Let's cut out the waste, fraud, and abuse. There we go. Yeah. Trump watches, Trump NFT, Trump Bitcoin. It's a Ponzi scheme. He's using it as a personal piggy bank. And his base is so dumb, they don't care. They need to do a recall. They're not going to stand up against their orange daddy. I believe at some point, I don't know. I don't know if they're afraid of him. I don't know what it is, but it's cowardice because Republicans are looking out for their political future instead of for the health and benefit of this country. What he's doing, and it's not him, he's being enabled by Republicans and Democrats. Both parties have done this. Is they're letting him burn it to the ground because they're afraid of him. When Nixon did his thing, Republicans walked down to Congress and asked him to step down. Yeah. That's what they're doing. They're just letting him do it. And even right now, they're in control of the Republicans are in charge of Congress, the Senate, and the White House. But somehow it's the Democrats' fault that it's shut down. But his base is so dumb, some of them actually believe it. So they would rather have the Democrats open the government, take away their health care, just so they can get a payment. I like Adam Kinzinger. I can disagree with people on policy. I had a conversation with a friend today, a large content creator on TikTok, and he and I agree on a lot of issues, but he disagrees about the upcoming election and how Democrats are. He's worried about the party splitting. I am of the belief that both political parties do not serve you and I. I believe that in my core. I don't even think it's a question anymore. So we can do this two ways. We can address it now and just let it burn to the ground and rebuild it in a system that's going to benefit the American people. Or this is what I'm afraid is going to happen. We're going to say we have to vote for the Democrats because they're the lesser of two evils. Now's not the time. How many times have how many decades have we heard now's not the time? 20, 30, 40, 50 years? And then we get through this mess somehow. I don't think we are. We may not. I don't know. And then what's going to happen? People are going to get complacent. Do you think there's going to be a desire after things calm down a little bit and they're not doom scrolling that they're all of a sudden going to say, wow, let's start a third or fourth party? No, I don't see that happening. If you don't address it now, people get complacent and they have short memories. If it's not right in front of them, then they're not going to care about it. That's just the reality. That's why a lot of people don't care right now. On the 15th, the soldiers aren't getting their pay anymore. Then they're going to care. When you can't fly, then they're going to care. And as much as I've tried a general strike, people don't care because it hasn't affected them. The darkness hasn't touched them at their house, at their job. They don't care. And I hope they keep this down for 3 to 6 months. I really do. I hope the whole thing falls on itself and we can actually create it to serve the people because it does not serve you and I. I just don't think this whole lesser of two evils things it's an abusive relationship, people. It is. We are getting screwed. All of us. What if the Democrats win? Somebody said Citizens United is an absolute horrible thing. You have dark money from corporations and you have APAC. APAC is basically running this country right now. They are. They're spending millions of dollars here, and then we weaponized it for military. Then what? Women don't have rights. There's no gun reform, and we still don't have a living wage, and we don't have affordable health care. What's the purpose? Then 2 years, and then 4 years, and then let's assume we still have a democracy. Then what? Then what? You think they're going to spend time raising minimum wage or reversing Citizens United or hacking the Supreme Court? No. No, they're going to run on some other bullshit. Oh, it's the Democrats. Oh, it's the libs. Oh, it's the red team. It's the blue team. They're going to go right back into culture wars and move the needle just a little bit, and then we're going to get screwed. Now's not the time to vote for a third party. 32. Now's not the time. 36. Now's not the time. When is it the time? Give me a year. I'm open. Give me a year. I'm an independent. I would be considered very progressive. I also want to be fiscally responsible. Do I want a balanced budget? Yeah. But you also have to spend money to get the economy going, which is what Joe Biden did. So as much as I would like spending to go down, yeah, but there's other places to cut the budget. Like 13% of our budget is interest. That's insane. Why does the military have a $1 trillion budget? Where the hell's that money going? Where's the audit? I want to see it. Maybe we can cut it by 30%. Maybe. Maybe we can cut some of the jobs in the government. I'm open to it, but do it in a way that's not affecting the American people. This is insanity. Yeah, Caleb, I agree. I mean, I kind of feel like on some levels, the way that I look at things, that's where it is. So don't vote Democrat and empower Trump more. Well, 11th gate, all I'm saying is this, okay? We are choosing to stay in a two-party system that is an abusive relationship. Look at it like this, okay? You have a car. It's symbolic of the US. It has 500,000 miles on it. It has 3 flat tires. It gets 3 miles to the gallon. It leaks oil and it has a broken fan belt, okay? That's the United States right now. That's just what it is. Does it matter if a Democrat or Republican drives it? Because that's what we're saying. Well, the Democrat's going to drive in a straighter line. Ooh, the Democrat's going to get 0.5 miles to the gallon more. So what? The car is junk. It needs to be thrown out. I don't even think progressive Democrats, in my opinion, I think that both political parties are the problem. Has Hakeem Jeffries even endorsed Mondavi? No. Who has the money? Hakeem Jeffries. Why? Because he's getting it from APAC. Nancy Pelosi is what, 81? And she has a young person running against her. Guess who's getting all the money? Nancy Pelosi. Guess who's going to win? Nancy Pelosi. Did AOC get the co-chair job? No. When David Hogg came in, they kicked him out because he wanted younger candidates, more progressive. The system itself, 85, sorry, thank you. The system doesn't want to change. Look who Chuck Schumer's endorsing. There's a race. It's on the East Coast. I don't know the state. If it's New Jersey, New York, it's like a 70-something-year-old governor running against like a young person, and he's endorsing the old crotchety old lady. Retire. Go to Jurassic Park, lady. Get the hell out of our lives. But what I'm saying, 11th gate, is this. We don't have to stay in this abusive relationship. I hear what you're saying. I'm not disagreeing with you. When do we start saying that I've had enough of this and we say that this is the system that we have? We're choosing to perpetuate it by donating money. We still are going to elect Nancy Pelosi. Those aren't the politicians. Voters are going to the booth and going to vote for her. They're choosing to put her back in there. They're choosing to donate money to these people. That's the problem. People are unwilling to break away from the tribalism. Vote blue no matter who because we have to. All I'm proposing is that we need to break away from this vote blue no matter who nonsense. Same thing on the other side. Own the libs. The fringes are, you have MAGA and you have blue MAGA. They're two sides of the same coin. They're all in it for the money. They're all in it for the power. And neither one of them have done anything. When I interviewed Eric Swalwell 2 months ago, I asked him to work with me on a general strike. Only if it helps register voters and only if it helps the Democrats win. And he admitted that if the Democrats don't win the midterms, that democracy's over. He was unwilling to fight with me and you to stop what's happening. He's willing to risk democracy and sit back and just go on CNN and Midas Touch and Brian Cohen and do his dumbass train talks and risk democracy and say, you have to vote for us in the midterms. That's the problem that I have with the Democratic Party. I don't accept that. Correct. You're right, Eli. The Electoral College should be abolished. It's an old, if I'm not mistaken, don't correct me if I'm wrong, it's an old Jim Crow relic. If not before, I don't know the exact year. Puerto Rico has 3.2 million people. Wyoming has 500,000. Why in the hell should Puerto Rico not be a state? Taxation without representation. Why should they be citizens and not have senators and congressmen? I don't know Haz al-Din. I don't know who that is. I'm sorry. Vote for Newsom if he promises to stop the rich control. I don't trust any politician's word. I took a professional team to silence Charlie Kirk. Oof, ouch. I don't, listen, me and my buddy disagree on this. Gavin Newsom, during COVID, went out with his rich friends and he went to the French Laundry. While we, as Californians, were at home wearing masks, told not to go to work. He was out yucking it up. That is not leadership. That is hypocrisy. And then Xi Jinping came and he cleared off the streets of homeless people for a photo op. He didn't fix the problem. He made it look good. That's not solutions. That is gaslighting. That is theater. I don't like that. I won't accept it. If he's on the ballot, will I vote for him? Yeah. Do I want to? No. I think he's just another fraud. I really do. I think he's another asshat. He's a clown who wants to be middle of the road. And then he's interviewing the racist podcaster and Steve Bannon, a convicted felon. Did he ask him any hard questions? No. Hey, why'd you vote for a rapist? Why'd you vote for a felon? Why are you talking about a third term? Didn't ask any of those questions because he's trying to find middle of the road. And that's the problem with these establishment Democrats. Jan asked about the Qatari Air Base. I don't know if it's an air base or a facility. Yes, Ovid, I heard you. I don't know anything about the CK, the racist podcaster. I listen. There's 40 to 47,000 people that die every year from gun violence. Okay, these people primarily that follow this racist podcaster, which is what he was. He was a racist piece of shit. He was. He talked about the white replacement theory, how the blacks are taking white jobs. You're not qualified if you're a black pilot. He said she was Black Hillary, that she wasn't black. He asked for the execution of Joe Biden. He was a shitty human being. He was. Hold on, I'm sorry. So I don't know what happened there. But what I don't understand, what's ridiculous is that these white people got their panties in a twat because some person just working a job that wants to pay their bills at Starbucks wouldn't put the name of a racist podcaster that was a victim of school shootings when they don't do a damn thing about the 47,000 kids. Uvalde, Sandy Hook, January 6th, Melissa Hortman and her fucking dog and her husband. Not a damn thing. Silence. Thoughts and prayers. But this guy that's a racist, all of a sudden, everyone's losing their shit and Jesus is coming. There's a second coming. There's all of a sudden there's a revival. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's about being the white victim. For once in their lives, they got a feeling of what it's like to be black, and their white privilege got shit on and they lost their minds. That's what it is. It allows them to be the victim. Joe Kidd, how are we going to hold Newsom accountable? He has so much money and so much power. Same thing with JB Pritzker. I like JB Pritzker. He's a billionaire. I don't want billionaires in this country. They have too much power. Have I heard of CPUSA? I don't know what that is. Sounds like a union almost. CPAC always crashes tender. Every single year. Yeah, listen, the racist podcaster wasn't a good guy. I could show you 10 minutes of videos of horrible things. He joked about gay people being thrown out of buildings in Gaza. And then he said, oh, wait, there's no buildings. This is the kind of person that he was. He was not a good person. But what he did was he fed into their white supremacy. He went to colleges and talked to a bunch of uneducated little bros that eat raw steaks and need to feel like an alpha male because they own guns. And he says, little Timmy, you're a real man. Tell a woman to make you dinner and rub your feet and make you babies. That's all he did. You ever see him debate somebody that has a working brain cell? Almost never. And when he did, he got absolutely wrecked because all he had was blame the brown people, the patriarchy, God, Jesus, Jesus, and he cherry picked some garbage scripture to push his racism and white supremacy. That's all he was. He was nothing more than a younger version of Rush Limbaugh. Yeah, and then they put him on Air Force Two, and then they held a Nazi-style rally. That's what it was. Go watch it. It was the speech that Stephen Miller gave was dark. It was just like the speech that what's his name? Gordenberg. What the hell was his name? The guy that gave the speeches with Hitler. Anyway, it was just like that. It was just like it. It was dark. And she had her crocodile tears on there. And then now she's asking for money. For what? She's a millionaire. What in the hell does she need money for? It's like they went right back to grifting. Nick Fuentes is a scary person too. Nick Fuentes is farther right than MAGA. He wants white America and he's very proud of it. Don't kid, he's a dangerous person. Yes, he loves everybody here. Rush Limbaugh, oh God. Ugh. He was probably the first if MAGA was around when he was alive, he would have been wearing a red hat. He would have been like a Laura Loomer or he would have been more like a Alex Jones. He was the first version of MAGA before it was MAGA. He started this right-wing fear-mongering, white supremacy, white male patriarchy, culture war nonsense. That's what Rush Limbaugh was. He made some very racist comments about black people. He was not a good human being. He just wasn't. But hey, now Rush knows who's in the Epstein files, so I guess there is that. You got to take the ones when you can get them. He wasn't. There are some people that are just misinformed, and there are some people like Rush Limbaugh and Stephen Miller that are just not good people. Is Rush Limbaugh like Scott Jennings? Oh, God, Scott Jennings. I would say that Rush Limbaugh was probably more of a clown. He was an actor and he knew how to stoke fear into people. Scott Jennings is just a white nationalist. That's all he is. CNN is doing a disservice to this country by he doesn't have a different point of view. He is simping. When's the last time you saw CNN ask Scott Jennings? Anybody, a guest? Hey, Scott, why did you vote for a rapist? Why do you vote for a pedophile? Why did you ignore January 6th? Why did you ignore the felonies? What does he say? Well, he said, I'm going to have cheap eggs. What kind of Christian votes based on capitalism? Aren't you supposed to build your wealth in heaven where moth and rust can get to them? No. But Scott Jennings whores himself out for capitalism. He is a grifter. People like Candace Owens and the racist podcaster and Joe Rogan, they're grifters. They're not stupid people. Piers Morgan is a grifter. They know exactly what to say to their base to get them riled up. And they go out there and they make video and they get them on tape and they get them to argue and yell. And then they post it on YouTube and they make a crap ton of money because we love outrage. That's what it is. They're good at manipulating people, poking the bear, poking the hornet's nest. Like January 6th, right? And that's what the orange felon does. You poke it, and then what you do is you step away and you let the bees come out of the nest. I wasn't there. I didn't do anything. And then you let them go at it. That's what they're good at, is getting people angry and upset. And that's what they're doing now, right? Your version of white America is going away. What are you going to do, little Timmy? Are you a patriot? Are you a real man? That's what they're doing with the Turning Point halftime show. This country's not white enough. It's not American enough because Bad Bunny doesn't speak English. I speak Spanish. Does that mean I'm not American? Yo hablo español mucho. Todas las trabajas que yo trabajé. Toda la gente habla español conmigo. Oh my gosh, that's not American. Yeah, it is. Part of this country was Mexico up to Utah until we took it away in a war. Immigrants love this country more than MAGA does. They love this country for what it is, where MAGA loves this country for what they want it to be, which is just white religion. It's not even Christianity. They are good at dividing us. But there's two parts of this. You have the rich people that are screwing us, yes. But at the other time, look at the lack of morality. There is the rich thing. There is that. But there's the morality of the white supremacy, right? They took away women's rights, and women have a 52% increased mortality rate since Roe versus Wade was overturned. Look what happened to Adriana Smith. They forced her corpse to stay alive for 2 months. Disgusting. They didn't care about January 6th or the 4 officers that took their own lives. They don't care about them. They don't care about the kids that die in school. They'll do nothing about gun violence. They don't care. There is the financial, but there's also, they don't care who their policies hurt. I don't know how you fix that part of it. And part of this country was never going to vote for a black woman. Yeah, Joe Biden should have stepped away after the first term. There should have been a primary. But the reality is, it didn't matter what she did. This country went to the voting booth and said, the most qualified candidate ever, served in all 3 branches, finished at the top of her class, extremely damn smart, or the guy that talks about Hannibal Lecter, who had 4 officers die from an insurrection because he lied about an election, tried to overthrow an election, cheats on his wife, a convicted felon, he's a pedophile on Epstein Island, stole from cancer charities, insulted disabled people, and added $8 trillion to the debt. I don't know. This is really hard. I really don't like her policy about X, Y, and Z. I mean, come on. That's a bunch of bullshit. It's crap. She was a black lady. Let's just be real. She can't say that, so I'm going to say it. That's exactly what it was. LBJ said it best. This country, and I'll paraphrase, this country will vote for the most bumbling, unqualified white man, morally bankrupt, that's literally picking your wallet, than the most qualified black man. I have not heard of that channel, Alston. Aiden Computers Empire. No, I don't know that one. Sorry. About the video from White Mental Man issues that you uploaded, this makes sense. Yes. We have a problem with young men in this country that are emotionally unstable and immature. They only look. Many of these men were breastfed by their dads for too long, or their moms abandoned them, or they didn't love them. And they told them, little Billy, you're only a real man if you own the libs, if you win at everything, and you're number one. So what happens is you don't teach your young men how to fail. Example, you go to a baseball game and you see all these dads. Come on, Billy, swing. Oh, no, umpire, he was safe, right? They're always telling their kid, be the best, be the best. And then they make them, when they lose, they make them feel like an utter failure. Now, how I raised my kid. I told my kids when I coached at the beginning of the year that my least important priority was to win. And the parents were shocked. Oh my gosh, I can't believe you said that. I want your kid to work hard, come early, be a good teammate, and bust his butt. I want your kid to learn how to be a good teammate. If we win, great. If we don't win, whatever. So what happened was my kid went to high school, had a knee injury, didn't make the team. Next year he tried out. I said, are you going to quit? He's like, nope, I'm going to make the team next year. I'm like, cool, rock on, girlfriend. So we did. Made the team, was the most approved player, had like the second lowest EA in the team and like the fourth highest batting average. Because I taught my son how to fail. When you tell these young men that being a real man means you can't have empathy or compassion or understanding or grace, when you strip them of emotions and you tell them that it's weak to ask for help or to be vulnerable, it's like a pot of boiling water. You ever get a pot of boiling water and you leave the lid on and then the lid starts to like vibrate? You know what I'm talking about? Hey, Madalena. That's what happens. And then at some point, the steam builds up so much that the lid comes off. 98% of shootings in this country are men. The vast majority, white men, U.S. citizens. Because they don't know how to handle their emotions. They're told to suppress them until they boil over, and then they want to fight you. They want to yell at you. They want to swear at you. They want to like scream and spit in your face. They want to go to rallies and wear like American flags and yelling and own the libs. And then they go to January 6th and they beat people. This is what they do. It's all they know is anger because they don't know how to have self-control. Toxic masculinity is not healthy masculinity. Right. And if you lose, you're right. It's somebody else's fault, right? Like, think about this. These white people didn't like the result of an election. So they beat police officers with American flags. But at the same time, they're upset about flags being burned because of free speech. Or they're upset about tampons being in boys' bathrooms, yet they'll tape them on their ear and walk around with them. It's the constant victimhood. They need to be the center of attention. Have you heard of the Revolutionary Blackout Network? I have not. I don't know, Mario, about Chris Benoit. I don't know about Hulk Hogan either. That's not really my place. I don't know that much about them. Have you heard of the alt-left pipeline? Yes, that's Blue MAGA, Jen. I think Blue MAGA is just as bad. When I go on Blue Sky and I criticize Hakeem Jeffries, the Blue MAGA, the far left, call me a racist because I have the audacity to criticize Hakeem Jeffries because he happens to be black. So based on their logic, I can only criticize Joe Biden and Chuck Schumer because they're white. My thoughts on David Pakman. What about my David Pakman? David Pacman was on that list where he was taking $8,000 a month. It's up to everybody to decide how they feel about that. This is what I don't like about that whole thing. And don't take my word, go read the Wired article. There was a organization that funneled money into a lot of left-leaning podcasters. Okay. I still haven't even seen a contract that was sent out. They all talked about transparency, and not one of them has submitted a contract. Allegedly, there was no strings attached about what they can talk about. Again, take that for what you want. Here's why I don't like it. These people like David Pacman and Midas Touch and whoever else has taken it have massive followings in social media. They're making probably $20,000, $30,000 a month in ad revenue. Plus you have Substack, plus what do they make on TikTok? And I'm sure there's other money to make. They're making a crap ton of money. Why do they need to make $8,000? So when they go on and they interview congressmen and senators and mayors, and they say, well, we're fighting for the people. We want universal health care. Well, at the same time, you're getting a kickback under the table from an organization that's giving you $8,000 a month. How does that look to people that are living paycheck to paycheck? Isn't that a bad look? The optics are bad. When there's not transparency there, to me, it leads to a lack of trust. That's my problem with that whole thing. If they would have came out day one and said, hey, this is what I'm getting, that would be cool. But they never did this for years. They waited until an article came out. Yeah, look. Oh, hold on. I'll show you. Yeah, they have the right to do whatever they want, but here's my problem. And I'll show you. Let me pull up David Pacman's thing. Hold on. Look. You see all those? This is clickbait. Okay? Yellow letters. Look at today. Look. Get the F out of here. Okay? He dared him to do it. Terrifying Republicans. Shriveled advisor melts down. Listen. We as a society are addicted to outrage where we are as a society. They do it because it makes you upset. When you see something like that, you're like, oh my gosh, what happened? Is everything okay? And you click on it, and then he makes money. It's what it is. It's not news. It's rage bait. It's clickbait. Both sides do it. How many people... I've never seen David Pacman almost never talk about what's happening in Gaza. Maybe it's there. I just personally haven't seen it. I don't see him talking about white supremacy. I don't see them talking about how the guy in the White House is a rapist and a convicted felon who went into teenage girls' locker rooms. Because we're not dealing with the issue as to why we're here. No, Austin, I have not. Pacman's just a reporter or a journalist, whatever he is. He can think that's his opinion. I don't think the U.S. is going to stand with NATO if they did. I really don't. I think that if Russia invaded Poland, the convicted felon would say, well, I'm going to invoke sanctions. Let me give him 60 days to back away from that. I think at some point NATO might kick us out. I really think that's a possibility. What has Anonymous... I've heard a lot of talk about Anonymous saying that they're going to do all this stuff, and I never see anything from them. They seem to be a lot of talk. They do. You have, I think Midas Touch does the same thing. Midas Touch. Let's see what he does. Same thing. Look. Yellow lettering. Rage baiting. Awful for the entire world. He screws himself. Deceiving ruling. Crushing blow. It's rage bait. Let's see. Ben Shapiro. Both sides do this. Hold on. Ugh, I can't stand looking at that guy. This speech changed everything. If these flop, the left can't ignore this and win. The Trump effect. Shocking controversy. It's all rage bait. Mario, I think his end game, I predicted it in February, is that he's going to. I think he's ultimately wants to declare martial law. I do. I think he wants to be a king, and I don't think the Republican Party is going to say anything. I think they're going to sit by in their little crib, sucking their baby bottle. Yes, Daddy. Yes, Daddy. Mike Johnson's going to say, "I didn't know that." What does gerrymandering mean? Gerrymandering is so every state has districts. Okay, I don't know about most states. Places like California, and I thought that Texas did. Ohio, Indiana, most of the states have a nonpartisan committee that looks at, I don't know Ricky Manor. Sorry, I don't know who that is. They look at demographics. They look at geography. You know, like if you have this, like if this population as an example, let's take Texas as an example, okay? Jasmine Crockett's district. If this gerrymandering is allowed to go through, her district is gone. She won't even be there anymore. Because they basically gerrymander where it's going to be all Republicans and all white people. Because we all know there's a lot of racists in Texas. They don't want a black woman. So what it does is gerrymandering is skewing the vote where you're purposefully kicking out a certain political party or demographic. You'll see this a lot in the South. You'll have this massive black population and have like one district for black people. Goebbels, that was his name, yes. Now, do I want California to gerrymander? No, I don't want it. Am I going to vote for it? Hell yeah, I am. Because we're past the point where we have to play by the rules. We have to fight fire with fire. It has to be done. If at some point we can undo it, that's cool. But here's the bigger issue with gerrymandering. It's not that they're gerrymandering. It's that the people are still going to vote for the Republicans after they illegally did it. Which means that the voters are still complicit in the gerrymandering. I like Mondavi Zoran. And I think the fact that Andrew Cuomo, who's a piece of human garbage, who lost his job, is even in this race, it's disgusting. And the fact that Hakeem Jeffries can't even endorse him is disturbing at the same time. The guy won like a month ago. And Jeffries is, what are you humming about? What? Why? Because you won't kiss your ass? That's the problem. That's what we're seeing. We're seeing, in my opinion, this is what we're seeing. The established Democratic Party, like Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, whose ass belongs in Jurassic Park, and you have Mondavi and younger people that are coming up, like, who's that? The young kid in Tennessee. Oh, I love that kid. Or Kenyatta in Minnesota. Oh, Justin, what's his name? Justin something. Not Parsons. Really up and coming guy. You're starting to see that is the split where this is where most people want to be. Affordable housing. Oh, no. Not affordable housing. Free busing. Oh, no. That's socialism. So what? It's your tax dollars. You're getting something for what you paid for. You're saving people money. Isn't Mikey Sherrill like 70 years old? Yep, I'm going to vote yes on 50. I just haven't done it yet because, by the way, tomorrow is my birthday. Woohoo! Thank you, Nurem. I really appreciate that. Listen, Donald Trump is an absolute bumbling idiot. Okay, he's a moron. He eats paint chips. He wears makeup and diapers. He has hair transplants. He craps his pants. He wears stilts. He can't even walk up steps. He holds water with. He's an idiot. He looks at the sun without glasses on. He is a moron. Thank you, my friends. So I don't really spend too much time talking about it. He's not worth my time. He's an attention whore. He just is. He doesn't. People that are like him in his base. Donald Trump doesn't love himself. He doesn't love his wife. He doesn't love his kids. He doesn't love his grandkids. The fact that he left his wife at home with the 2-week-old son and later with Stormy Daniels tells you all you need to know about him. He's cheated on all of his wives. He's abused multiple women. They're not happy people. So yeah. Anyway, so I might do it. I might do this another day a week. I'm doing like Monday and Wednesday. I would like to do it sooner. The problem is we got our business to run. I just can't do it. I know it's late for some people, and I appreciate coming on here, but I might be able to push it up to 6. But I think probably 7's going to work for me. Have I heard of Globe? No, I have not. He's a little crybaby. He's a privileged little baby, and he is their orange clan leader that is the remnants of the lost cause. This is the modern day Confederacy. And I think that one day when historians are, if we still have history books, God knows, we're going to look back and say, wow, we really did a piss poor job with the lost cause. And this is the resurrection of the lost cause. We should have held them accountable or punished them in some way, and we didn't. That is our sin as a country, is letting this ferment. This is our fault. For those of you that don't know, the lost cause was the racist plantation owners that fought for slavery with that piece of shit Robert E. Lee. May he rot in hell, next to Jeffrey Epstein. And after they got their asses kicked and 200-something thousand people died, they said, no, it wasn't about slavery. It was about states' rights. So then they started the Daughters of the Confederacy. Basically, the widows of the people that died said, no, they were heroes. They were fighting for states' rights. No, they weren't. It was a lie. And that's why they worship Robert E. Lee, because they think he's some hero. They've lied for generations. Yeah, the Daughter and Sons of Liberty. That's why we're here. And we never pulled it out by the roots. And they went from white hoods to red hats. That's all it is. Thank you, Danny. I appreciate it. Mama Emity. I have not, no. I think that Melania Trump is very likely a Russian asset. I believe that in my heart. The fact that she's talking to the ruler of Russia that's invading Ukraine is disturbing. Truly disturbing. What other podcasts do you like? I'll be honest, I don't listen to a lot of podcasts. There was one I listened to, but it's not political. I listen to audiobooks. There's one called, what is this called? Oh, it's not political. It's called American Scandal. It talks about like there was a plague in San Francisco, or what was about Massacre at My Lie. They talk about Ruby Ridge. Watergate. There was a lady that sold babies back in the day. They're like little pieces of history, and I get to learn little stories. Watergate was that was Nixon was doing a lot of bad stuff. Watch the movie Watergate. It's with Dennis Hoffman and Robert Redford. I believe they won Oscars for it, or Academy Awards. Chewy, I don't know. I will look into that. Between work and making videos and stuff, with the kids, I wish I had more time. I watch a lot of funny videos, like guys doing stupid stuff, like Marty and Michael. They're just a bunch of guys in Australia that just do stupid things with pretend to be scientists, and just it's stupid fun. And I found that there has to be a point for me where my brain, if you get too involved in it, you get too deep in the sauce. So I try to break it up with a little bit of humor. Like I watched 2 nights ago, I watched Nightmare Before Christmas because I love Jack Skellington. So yeah, it's good. It's good to free your mind from this hostility sometimes. My next historical vid is going to be about the Middle Passage, which was horrifying. Other than this, what other country has done the most damage to people? Probably Nazi Germany. I mean, I guess you can go back to Rome, you can go back to Napoleon. I mean, I would say probably that. If I had to guess, in time, that's probably the number one thing. Austin, I have not. You're throwing a lot of names I have not heard of. And yes, before I go, I will make a video, but no Kings on Saturday. Don't let them bully you. That's what they want. A lot of people had asked me about like my backstory. So I kind of made a video. It's like 7 minutes. I'm releasing it tomorrow. So everyone asked, I thought I would make it, why I do this. It talks about my childhood. It's got some dark stuff in there. I wouldn't listen to it on a Sunday after church, but it's who I am. I don't pick left or right. I don't pick sides. I call it out. I think people are tired of both political parties pitting us against each other. I'm sick of it. The system's broken, and I'm just a person like you that does this. And 20 years ago, when I met my wife, I didn't even like going to a room with a crowd, a lot of people. So she's worked with me a lot. So I'm just you that has a bunch of people that listen to me for some reason. I don't understand why, but I'm just a real dude. Yes, of course I'll be at the rallies. I will come up with a sign and I will make it, and I will try to have it ready for our call on Wednesday. Professor Sky, the most important country in the world. I will look at that. Farron Cousins. I will. Benjamin Netanyahu. Yeah, Benjamin Netanyahu is, there's a special place for him right next to Jeffrey Epstein one day. What he's done to those people in Gaza is unforgivable. Thank you, Madalena. When you guys watch my video tomorrow, it's funny because I'm releasing it about myself on my birthday, which is kind of ironic. You'll understand why listen, I'm a person of faith, but I'm going to use language because when I see somebody that's treated badly because of how I grew up, I act as if Officer Sitnik was my dad or someone like Amber Thurman was my sister. When I see those things, I don't act like they're a stranger. That's not how I look at it. When I hear love your neighbor as yourself, I look at those people as my neighbors. When I see school shootings, my wife can't talk to me for like 2 hours because I'm literally just so outraged. I have to take a walk. I act as if it was something that affected me. That's how I treat people, and that's how I want to be treated. So that's just who I am. Good, bad, or indifferent. And I know some people ask me to hold my language, but sometimes it's needed because it's how we feel. We're all upset. We're angry. Sometimes PG is just not the way. Yes, 107 days. I actually bought a signed copy of my book, a signed copy off of eBay for my wife for her birthday last week. I don't know if you know, but Officer Sitnik voted for Trump in 2016. Okay, well, I don't care. That doesn't affect how I feel about how he was treated. Did you see Middle East today? Trump confused? Yes. Well, Donald Trump is an idiot. He's a moron. And that's why people like him. He's so stupid, I think he makes them feel smart. They're still waiting for his tax plan. They're still waiting for their $5,000 Doge checks. They're still waiting for Mexico to pay for the wall. They still haven't seen his taxes. I mean, we should all date Trump supporters. We can cheat on them. We can lie to them. We can break promises, and we will still never get broken up with. I mean, we should all want to date a Trump supporter. No matter what we do, they would never leave us. So yeah. Anyway, all right, guys. I need to go watch I watch one show a week, and it's Rachel Maddow. Yeah. All right, my friends. Oh, Shiloh Hendricks is a twit, right? The poor white girl that was the victim of her racism. Poor little white girl got caught being a racist. Oh no, the poor victim. But that's what MAGA is. It's defending white supremacists, being the white victim. They need to be the center of attention. It's what she is. And of course she raises money. But George Floyd or Ahmaud Arbery that's chased down by 3 white guys and shot like a dog because he's taking a jog. Nothing for them. But Shiloh Hendricks, who's a white girl who made a bunch of racial slurs, she gets a GoFundMe and raises thousands of dollars. That's very on brand for the greatest country in the world. All right, my friends. Bye-bye. Good seeing you. Let's see.